What did I tell you guys yesterday? What did I tell you guys yesterday? In my yesterday's review, what did I tell you guys yesterday? Becky Lynch is going to win the NXT Women's Championship. That's what I said. And here we are. Reality has happened. And obviously and also, I find it funny because I saw a lot of people, some people saying that they didn't expect it. Really? There were a few people on the internet that said, "Oh, I didn't expect Becky Lynch to win." What do you mean you didn't expect it? It was blatantly obvious she was going to win. Now, let's go down a bit of a... let's go down memory lane. Let's go back a bit. Let's take a trip down memory lane. In 2020, yes, I know, the one year that no one likes to talk about. In 2020, Charlotte Flair became the NXT Women's Champion, defeating Rhea Ripley, and people lost their minds. People were absolutely angry about it. They thought WWE were really stupid to do that. They thought it was really dumb of them to have a main roster star win an NXT title. And now here we are 3 years later, and even last year, it's now just accepted amongst the community. We saw Dolph Ziggler become NXT champion. We saw New Day become NXT Tag Team Champions. To be fair, I did forget about that. To be fair, I did forget the New Day were NXT Tag Team Champions. But they did become NXT Tag Team Champions. Now we've also got Dirty Dom. Dirty Dom, everyone's favourite heel. He became North American Champion. And now here we are with Becky Lynch. The trifecta, all the main roster belts have been won by main roster stars. Becky Lynch, 3 years later, becomes NXT Women's Champion, and how people love it. And now people love it because, oh, it'll bring eyes to NXT. Really? Bring eyes to NXT? That was the same reason. WWE gave the NXT Women's Championship to Charlotte too. That was the same excuse. That was the same reason they gave it to her. And everybody crapped on it. No one's gonna watch NXT to see Charlotte Flair. Everybody hates Charlotte Flair. And now here we are 3 years later. Becky Lynch is doing the exact same thing, and people are saying that now as the excuse. It's to bring eyes to NXT. NXT doesn't need to be brought eyes to. Oh, NXT drew 7K views last week. They've been drawing great ratings over the last several weeks. Yeah, because they've been using the Judgment Day. It's because they've been using the Judgment Day, Dana Brooke, even Los Lotharios, and bloody Seth Rollins. It's not because the NXT talent they have on the show are bringing in good ratings. It's because they're relying on the Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Seth Rollins, Dana Brooke, and even other main roster people, Baron Corbin and Mustafa Ali. They're relying on main roster people. That's why they're getting all those ratings. It's not because the NXT talent that are in that developmental system are busting their asses off to work hard for those ratings. It's absolutely pathetic. It's pathetic how people just sit here and just claim, oh, it's fine. But yet people had a serious problem with it in 2020. Now, let's go all the way back to 2012 when NXT first began. Right about 2012, 2013-ish, when NXT became a brand. Yes, we had main roster people compete down there as well, like Tyson Kidd, Justin Gabriel, Natalya, so on and so forth, Jinder Mahal, Cesaro, so on and so forth. But you want to know what's the funny thing about all of that back then? Like, and I think they even had Alicia Fox and Tamina go down there as well at the time. But you want to know what's the funny thing about it back then? Back then, they didn't do it to have them win those championships. It's not like Tyson Kidd wasn't the first NXT champion. Jinder Mahal wasn't the first NXT champion. It was the developmental system's Seth Rollins who became the first NXT champion. It wasn't Alicia Fox, Natalya, or Tamina who became the first NXT Women's Champion. It was Paige. Neville won the tag team titles with some guy. I've actually never heard of him. But to the history says Neville was the first tag team champion. With some guy named Oliver. Never heard of him. But it's funny that those main roster people were down there for the numbers, because NXT was still a new brand at the time. They were there just to make the numbers. And they were superstars that weren't really being used on the product that much. Like a Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel, for example. Hell, they even had AJ Lee compete in NXT at one point. When she was still the Divas Champion and she fought Bayley. The point that I'm trying to make, back when NXT first started, it was understandable why they were doing it back then. It was understandable to why they did it back then. Like Natalya was on there so often, she'd wrestle Sasha Banks early on. She'd wrestle Charlotte Flair early on. Like hell, Natalya was the person that Charlotte beat to win the NXT Women's Championship from. Not because Natalya beat Paige, it's because Paige had to vacate it due to her moving up to the main roster. Wow, what a concept! Someone having to vacate the belt because they got called up. That happened to Indy Hartwell, and that happened to Solo Sikoa. But here's Dirty Dom and Becky Lynch carrying the NXT title around, and they're not gonna and Shawn Michaels ain't gonna do shit about it. Shawn Michaels ain't gonna do crap about it. He ain't gonna do a goddamn thing. But he did a goddamn thing. But he did a goddamn thing about it when it was Solo Sikoa. Funny how Solo Sikoa and Indy Hartwell had to lose their titles due to being called up to the main roster, but other people get a pass. I find that very funny and ironic. We are in the step. NXT 2.0 was created for one reason. Well, NXT was rebranded into NXT 2.0 for one reason. To develop future stars. Can someone explain this to me? Can someone explain to me how Dirty Dom... Don't get me wrong, the guy's great. Don't get me wrong, he's great. I think he's a good heel. But they only had him win that title because they knew he was not going to beat Gunther for it. They knew he wasn't going to beat Gunther. Could have it killed them to have him win the tag team titles with Damian Priest or Finn Balor? Nope. No, it couldn't. They couldn't have him win the US title? No, he's not on SmackDown. NXT 2.0 was rebranded into that for that particular reason. To create future stars. To help build the next generation. Like a Roxanne, Cora Jade, Blair Davenport, Gigi Dolan, JC Jane. So on, so forth. Bron Breakker, you get the point. So on and so forth. That was the point of NXT 2.0's creation. So, if it was created for that particular reason, why is Becky Lynch beating Tiffany Stratton? Listen, I'm not the biggest Tiffany fan. And I don't have to be, to speak my mind about this. I don't have to be a fan of a particular person to speak my mind about something. I get told I let my emotions overwhelm my reactions. Oh, I let my emotions get the better of me instead of looking at the bigger picture. What's the bigger picture here? What purpose does Becky Lynch serve as NXT Women's Champion? The only serve it makes is to make her a Grand Slam champion. You don't see Randy Orton going to NXT and winning the NXT title. And mind you, even if he did do that, I would still sit here and say he shouldn't do that. Just because I'm a fan of somebody doesn't mean I have to sit here and say, oh, I like this person, so therefore I'm just gonna enjoy it. Seriously, people that like Becky Lynch, obviously the Becky Lynch fans are gonna say that. And I'm a Becky Lynch fan, and I don't even agree with her being the champion. Because I saw a whole bunch of people on social media, you know, who had Becky Lynch as their freaking profile picture, were saying, oh, Becky, if Charlotte Flair can do it, Becky Lynch can do it too. No, nobody wanted Charlotte Flair to do it. People didn't like Charlotte Flair doing it. You get people out, you get a lot of people. There were some people I agreed with. Some people were saying that Becky talks all this crap about Charlotte and now she's doing the exact same stuff as Charlotte did. Some people are saying that, one person said that Tiffany Stratton's lost all of her credibility because of this loss to Becky Lynch. And NXT is a developmental brand. People say, and one other person said NXT is a developmental brand and you got two main roster people holding developmental titles, and that has been the point I have been trying to make! That's the point I have been trying to get across! This is a developmental system! Dominic doesn't need developmental! Becky Lynch doesn't need developmental! These people don't need it! If you wanted Dominic in NXT, you could have started him in NXT. But no, they skipped him straight to the main roster. So therefore, they had confidence in him that he didn't need to go down to NXT. And as what I said in my video yesterday, if they wanted Becky Lynch to be the NXT Women's Champion, they should have done it all those years ago when she was still in NXT, when she began. I liked that she was the only horsewoman to not be NXT Women's Champion. Well, that's different now. I can't say that anymore. Because they made her win the title just for the sake of a title. Grand Slam. She's a Grand Slam champion now. She's won all the women's championships possible. Why not have Roman Reigns go down to NXT then? He was never NXT champion. He didn't win a single NXT belt in NXT. Neither did Jon Moxley. Why don't they go down to... Why doesn't Roman Reigns, seek redemption for never being NXT champion, and he makes Carmelo Hayes acknowledge the Tribal Chief? I'm pretty sure everyone would eat that up, and then Roman Reigns would hold that title for 1 billion days. You don't need the NXT title to be a Grand Slam champion. If you're a woman, yes. If you're a woman, yes, you need it. But not if you're a male wrestler. Not if you're a male wrestler. All you need is the Universal title, World title, 1 tag title, both mid-card belts. You're a Grand Slam champion. So that's why Roman doesn't need NXT. That's why Randy doesn't need NXT. Because why should they? Why should they use NXT? They're already Grand Slam champions. They don't need it. But they'll go down there for ratings. As what everybody keeps saying as their defense for why main roster people are down there. They're doing it for ratings. Well, as I said many times before, I don't care about ratings. I don't care about ratings. I never have. All I want is a good show. All I want is a show I can enjoy. NXT is developmental system, not the main roster can beat the future system. That's not what NXT is. It's to build the future, not have Becky Lynch and New Day and Ziggler and Dominic win their titles. It's ridiculously dumb. It's ridiculously dumb and it's stupid. And I hate how there are people out there that actually defend this. I hate that there are people out there that actually just accept this. As like, oh well, let's just enjoy this Becky Lynch run. Oh, I can't wait for this Becky Lynch run in as NXT Women's Champion. Oh, I can't wait to see Becky Lynch versus Lara Valkyrie. Can't wait to see Becky Lynch wrestle Roxanne Perez and Blair Davenport and Gigi, JC, Cora Jade. Oh, I can't wait for this run. That's all people have been saying. Instead of... And Becky Lynch is going to beat them all. And it's not going to help, and it's not going to develop them at all. It's not going to help them at all. Doing this does nothing for NXT. It's exactly what I said in my last video. All it does is tells me that Shawn Michaels has no faith. He was the one that gave Tiffany the NXT Women's Championship instead of Cora Jade. He went all the way with Tiffany. Instead of doing the right thing going with Cora, he went with Tiffany, and Tiffany was a failed experiment as the champion. What, so the best answer is to have Becky Lynch win the title? So that's your answer? Oh, there's no credible challenges to beat Tiffany? Yeah, there was one, named Cora Jade. Roxanne? Blair? Gigi? JC? There are people you have. But no, you didn't want to do that. You wanted to have a main roster star do it. Because, oh, she brings ratings. Ridiculous. The fact that people like this, the fact that people defend this, really irks me. The fact that people are okay with this is what irks me. And this is why they do it. And this is why they keep doing it. Because they see all the reactions on social media. They see all the positive reactions on social media. They're like, well, people like this, so let's keep doing it. Let's keep having main roster people come down to NXT and winning their titles. Because fans love it. Becky Lynch has become worse than Charlotte Flair. She's basically become what she hated Charlotte Flair for. At least when Sasha Banks went down to NXT, at least she put over Io. At least she put over Io. Funny how that works, huh? Funny how Sasha was the one that thought about the future, but all the others are like, nah, we'll beat them. Nah, we'll beat these future stars. Dana Brooke beat Cora Jade. Cora Jade hasn't been seen since. Natalya beat Tatum Paxley and Cora Jade. They haven't been the same since. Possibly the only NXT star that has seemed to be doing fine, even though a main roster guy beat him, was Grayson Waller. And I will still say to this day, I still say Grayson Waller should have at least had an NXT title reign under his belt. But now that he's never won an NXT title, we'll watch possibly 5-10 years in the future. He'll probably go down to NXT and possibly challenge one of them once he becomes a big star. Watch. He'll probably end up winning the NXT title when he's like a massive star on the main roster. That's all I've got in this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this little mini rant. And I'll see you all next time.